Shalom. Welcome back to one of Hess's shorties. And I know you probably know the answer to this. Just how easy is it for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle? Do you actually know the truth? Remember, the truth will set us free. So let us look into the truth of the matter. You'll find this a little bit more interesting than you thought. And I noticed I forgot something. Matthew. This happens to be Matthew. Verse 24 commonly is where they started at. However, we're going to back up a little bit, make sure we got the context. But that's primarily where you're going to start this workout. Now, this is a little bit more interesting than you would think. First of all, let us do a little bit of reading and investigating in the scriptures first, and then go over commonly what everybody thinks. Then say Yahshua unto his disciples, now he's talking to them, verily I say unto you, emphatically, that a rich man, this is a person who has material wealth, shall hardly, and if you look it up in the Greek, it's, actually I have the ability to do so right here, duskolos, I'm not a Greek person, so it's impractical and hardly. And it says, I'll just go put the dictionary, look up, and then put the computer down on that. How do I do that? From 1418, food properly, in other words, very little peevish. Okay, I can't say forget it. Can't get it out my tongue. Anyway, hardly is very unlikely. Enter into the kingdom of heaven. And this is our verse. And again, he's saying this. In other words, it is connected to the verse before. So, 23, which is then said Yahshua unto his disciples, verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel, very interesting he picked that particular animal, to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Yahuwah. Now check out verse number 25. Always remember, do not, for any reason, just use one verse. Read them all. Then his disciples heard it. Okay, now they heard it. They were exceedingly amazed at this, saying, who then can be saved? In other words, they were under the impression that rich people did go to heaven. Okay, that might be one of the things that the Pharisees was teaching. Remember when it says they made their tzitzits exceedingly long? That's these. They would work on them in time in such a way as they'd be really long and elegant, you know. This is just one that mother-in-law made. Okay, so I kind of like it. I haven't put a prayer on here yet, but we'll figure something out. Anyway, next verse. But Yahshua beheld them and said, in other words, he was looked at them, unto them, with men this is impossible. You can't be done. A person cannot do this. But, there's always a but. But with Yahuwah all things are possible. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? Now he's going to start talking about what they're going to inherit for what they have done. Okay, when it comes to entering into the kingdom of heaven. Okay, because they had forsaken all. Now, we're going to go through just how easy is it for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. Now, there's two schools of thought on this. Either you haven't heard this at all, and you say, well, it's a needle, and I don't have one right here. I should have. I just dug a thorn out of my knuckle. And I laid it somewhere over there. But a sewing needle. Everybody commonly thinks about a sewing needle, and a camel is fairly large. This is an 8-foot ceiling, and its head would hit the ceiling. So, doesn't fit, does it? Even if it's a very large needle. So, no, can't be done. On the other hand, it was called several things actually, and a lot of people teach that this just happened to Jerusalem. It didn't. It happened at any and all cities actually. Now this is a daytime situation. These are my little ghost guys on top of any city, say during the time of the Second Temple. Now you'll notice that there's a fairly large gate, because these walls 30-40 feet high. Some places you could drive chariots around on top of them. Okay, think of medieval castle, because there's walls all around these cities for a reason. There's roving bandits, which I can't think of the name of right now, all the time. So after dark, when the lights go out, you can only throw a torch off that wall so far, and it only lights so much. So you can have 500 or 1,000 bandits just out of sight. Can't hear them, can't see them. The moment that gate opens, they can come tearing through at a high rate of speed because they're on horses. It's cavalry. Okay? Therefore, to open that gate, you need to man your defenses all the time. However, they come up with the cheap way of doing things, which is they close the gates. Okay? Not necessarily one gate either. Jerusalem, 6-8 gates depending on what time it was, but there was a lot of gates. And they're L-shaped gates, which are defense gates. I can tell you all about that later. But what I'm getting at is they come up with an ingenious idea. And what they did is they put a gate, and here's where you get the needle part. It was also called the merchant gate. It's very small, just high enough, okay, that you can actually enter into with a camel on its knees, and just skinny enough that the camel can actually crawl through. Because you want to keep your merchandise flowing, you want to keep your merchants happy, because without it, you don't make any money. They had tax issues back in, just like we do today. Okay, and a lot of people's taught on this, so I'm not going to get into it too much. Basically, you have two schools of thought on that. Either it's not that hard, you have to get it off, take the merchandise and your material through the gate, and then get the camel to crawl through the gate. Not that difficult. You just have to work at it a little bit. On the other hand, there's the other side, which is you have to get rid of your merchandise, drag it through there, get a camel that doesn't want to listen to you, which is more than likely, to get down on his knees and drag him through. Not all that easy, but it is possible. I want to leave it to you to figure that out. Okay? That is the basic of what you see here. However, there's a very interesting thing that I've never actually seen anybody teach on. And that's this. You notice I'm walking over here now. This is 2574 Greek. And it is this word right here, camel. I want to pop it up on my super fast, powerful, strong system. Okay, it's the Sword Project. I recommend it for everybody. The Sword Project. You can load all kinds of stuff. I got like 15, 20 different. I got so many different Bibles in there, I can't even tell you how many I got. So I can look it up in a multitude of different things. But anyway, 2574 is camelos. Okay, camel, camelos. Of Hebrew origin, 1581. Hebrew. When you look it up, its origin is 1580, which I'm going to go ahead and look that up now, if this thing will let me do it, because it don't like to do this for some reason without me typing all this stuff in. See, it's still not going to give it to me. Fine. I don't understand why it does this. 1581. The zero in front, but it's Camel, which is camel. Apparently from 1580 in the sense of labor or burden bearing. A camel. See Hebrew? 1580. Which I'll go ahead and do that now. Dictionary lookup for 15 AD. And see, there's where it switches me back. I don't understand what does that, but now I should be able to. Camel, a primitive root to treat a person well or ill. Either way. Odd how it would say that. I.e. benefit or requite. By implication of toil to ripen, i.e. specifically to wear, bestow, on, deal bountifully, do good, recompense, requite, reward, ripen, serve, mean, yield. What I'm getting at is Camel, requite. Please look, although I've had a little bit too much coffee, and it's the end of the day, and just got off the old, got done weed eating, so a little shaky. But Gimel, Mem, Lamed. Hey, wait a minute. Gimel, Mem, Lamed. It's the same letters. In fact, you'll notice that other than that, so I'm not going to get into a Hebrew lesson, basically D and the. That's how close these words are. It could go either ways, basically. The camel could be at the end of the journey. It could be the work that was done, the burden that was bore. It could be a good one or a bad one. When you break it down, I love Hebrew. When you break it down into this, this is what you end up getting. So it goes back to the whole process of salvation. It's all about your choices. He's trying to get you to understand it's about choices. Your choices. Are they good choices for the kingdom? Or are they good choices for man? In other words, are you working, trying to get into heaven? In other words, because remember, it says you will know his servants by their works. It doesn't say it's how you get to heaven. You get to heaven because he bought you back at the cross. But once you start having the Spirit indwell you, you start producing fruits. And that's what this is talking about. What type of fruit are you producing? It's not impossible for a rich man to get to heaven. He doesn't have to be like all these people want to make it sound like. Give me all your money, give it all away to the churches. No, you don't have to. If it's ill-gotten gains, he's in trouble. But what we're getting at here is not that. It doesn't mean that. Okay? It really does mean our choices get us into heaven. The correct choice will get you into the right gate. It's not hard. It's not easy. We have to seek the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Anyway, just a little twist. And it's not a twist. I'm not twist. I shouldn't have even used that word. I did not twist this. You go look it up yourself. Get any Strong's Dictionary, Concordance, and look it up. It immediately refers you back to the Hebrew, and the Hebrew there. And you can read it right in there. I know. And actually, if you got the paperback, then you'll have this. Ha-ha. I didn't even think about that. And it will. You can see what I'm talking about. Okay, that's just a vowel point. And it'll actually show you how to pronounce everything, and that close. Camel. Ooh, that close. Okay. Anyway, I hope this little shorty has helped you in your walk towards the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. May Yahshua bless your house for all of eternity. Amen.